Hello everyone, my name is Claudius Cazan. In this video we continue talking about triads. Last week I introduced you to the root position of the triad. Today we're going to talk about the first and second inversions. I'll also perform the number 27 and 28 from Robert Starr's Rhythmic Training book and Solfege number 26. Please stay tuned. Welcome back. Let's take a look at the first slide about the root position, the one that I presented to you last time. And you can see here on the tablet C, E, and G, and I can play it for you on the keyboard as well. Okay, and you can see the figures underneath, 5, 3, meaning that above the bass note, the lowest sounding note, which in this case is C, right? We have a third and a fifth. Okay, that's why the number 5 and 3 there. It also states in here that we don't always notate 5, 3. Sometimes you don't see any figures. That's because the 5, 3 position or the root position, it's kind of taken for granted. If you don't see any numbers underneath a bass note, that means that you're supposed to score it in root position. All right? The root position is when the triad is stacked in thirds. All right? We have 2 thirds on top of each other. Okay? And it's really easy to see it on the staff too. You either have all the notes on the lines or all the notes, all 3 notes on the spaces. That's how you can easily tell that the triad is in root position. The root is in the bass. That's why it's called the root position. Okay, let's invert this triad. To invert the triad, we take the lowest note, in this case the root, and we move it up an octave. And we leave the other 2 notes where they are. In other words, okay, taking this note up an octave, and we end up with this inversion. E, G, C. Okay? If we were to look at the figures, the numbers, we can see now that we have a third and a 6 above the bass note. The bass note right now, it's the third of the chord. If we go back for a second to the root position, we named the lowest note the root, the middle note the third, and the top note the fifth. In the first inversion triad here, the third is in the bass, lowest sounding note, the fifth is in the middle, and the root just moved up to the top. Okay? That's why the 6-3 figure in there. As a shortcut though, sometimes you'll just see the 6. The third is usually taken for granted. So if you see under a bass line a 6 only, that means score that in first inversion. Okay? The complete figure is 6-3. But just for you to know that sometimes the third is taken for granted. It's a very important element of the triad, and it's taken for granted. That's why you only see the 6 a lot of the times. So remember, the first inversion of the triad is the 6-3 or the 6, okay? And that's when, in our case, the root moved up to the top, the third is in the bass. That's the most important thing in a first inversion triad. If the third is in the bass, the third of the triad, all right, when the triad is stacked in thirds, if the third, the middle note now, becomes the bass note, you are talking about a first inversion triad. All right, let's move on. And we're moving on to the second inversion. That's when we further invert the triad, okay? We take the bass note again and we flip it up an octave. What we end up with right now is G, C, E, okay? If we go back to the root position, we can see that G, which was the fifth, now is in the bass. Okay? So the second inversion triad is when you have the fifth of the triad in the bass. Okay? And the figure for that is 6-4. Okay? 6-4, it always has to be there. There's no shortcut to this because the 4 is a new element. You know, the 5-3, 6-3, 6-4. 4, it's new. So for you to tell that it's in second inversion, you have to keep the 4 in there too, as well as the 6. All right, so usually for the root position, you don't see anything. Usually all the elements are taken for granted. That means root position. For the first inversion, occasionally you only see the 6. Third is taken for granted. But for the second inversion, you'll see both the 6th and the 4th. Okay, so this is for the second inversion. Now, all these positions of the triad, the root position, the first inversion, the second inversion, they all sound very similar, but they have a little bit of a flavor to them, right? So I'm going to go to the piano right now, and you'll see how root position is the most stable of all of them, right? I don't feel like having to go any place, but when I do something like this, notice that the third is in the bass right now, okay? The E. I really want to go there. Okay, so the first inversion position, usually, it's a little bit unstable. It cries for some kind of resolution in the way. Take me to a root position chord. And in this case, I moved it to the root position chord of the 4, or the subdominant. Okay? Okay, how about the second inversion? How about this? This one cries for some kind of resolution too, right? And usually resolves here. Okay, and that's a root position 7th chord this time. We'll talk about 7th chords a little bit later, but it is a root position chord. Okay, and back to another root position chord. Okay, so just remember that the root position is the most stable. The first and the second inversions, a lot of the times they're treated as transition chords. Okay, we go from one place to another by using these inversions, the first or the second inversion of the triad. All right, great. So remember, 5-3, 6-3, and 6-4 are the figures for the root position, first inversion, and the second inversion. Okay, and this applies to all triads, not just the major triad that I use for my example here. All right, let's dive in now and do some exercise with triads. You know all about the qualities, right? The 4 qualities of the triad: the major, the minor, the diminished, and the augmented. And you know about the 3 positions of the triad: the root position, the first inversion, and the second inversion. Okay, so we're going to use all these elements in our exercises right now. First of all, let's identify some triads. Okay, I'm going to put all the notes on the tablet, and let's find out its quality and the inversion. Okay, so first one is D, F sharp, A. You can see it on the tablet now. Okay, you can identify this by its mood. Remember last time we talked about the 4 moods of the triads: the happy, the sad, the weird one, and the dissonant one, the augmented one. You can identify them like that if you can. This one's definitely one of the happy ones, right? To me, it sounds major. But if you can't tell them that way, just look at the 2 thirds. Okay, the bottom third, D to F sharp, it's major. The top third, F sharp to A, it's minor. So a minor over a major third means a major triad, right? So this is a major triad. Okay, now what's its inversion? Well, it's stacked in thirds, right? So that means root position. So basically what you need to put in here, it's a capital M for major, 5-3 for the root position. Or if you are into shortcuts, just the capital M. You don't have to put the 5-3 because 5-3 is taken for granted a lot of the times, right? So let me flip the page here. There you go, major 5-3. I put the figures in this case because it's important for you to know them, all right? So D, F sharp, A is a major triad in root position, okay? Let's do one more. E, G, C. E is on the bottom. Okay, obviously this is not a root position triad anymore, right? The notes are not stacked in thirds anymore. So let's see what kind of intervals we have above the bass note. All these figures are intervals above the lowest sounding note, or the bass note, all right? So E to G is a third, right? E to C is a 6, right? So we have a 6 on top and a 3 on the bottom, okay? That's good for the figures. Now, how about the quality? You can, again, listen to the mood of it. It sounds major to me, sounds happy. But if you can't tell them that way, you have to do one thing here. You have to arrange these notes back into root position. Okay? Since this is a first inversion triad, 6-3, all you have to do is take the top note and bring it down an octave, and you end up with the triad in root position, C, E, G. Okay? And you can analyze the thirds now, C to E major, E to G minor. Okay? So that's a major triad in first inversion, 6-3. All right? So if I flip the page here, I should see a capital M with a 6-3 as the figures. Here we go. Major 6-3. All right, let's move on to the next one. D, G sharp, B. I'm sorry. D, G sharp, B. This one doesn't sound minor, doesn't sound major, and it doesn't sound too dissonant either. Can only be diminished, but let's prove it, okay? Well, first let's see what the intervals are. D to G sharp, it's some kind of a fourth, right? So you can put the 4 on the bottom. And D to B, it's a 6. All right, so you're in a 6-4 inversion here. What's 6-4? It's the second inversion of the triad, okay? So this is a second inversion triad. If I further invert this, I take the bottom note an octave higher, I'm coming back to the root position. So this is how you invert a second inversion triad back to root position. Go one more up instead of coming two down, right? So we make our life easier that way. So G sharp, B, D, right, is our triad in root position. Now let's look at the thirds. G sharp to B is minor, and B to D is also minor. 2 minor thirds on top of each other gives us a diminished triad. Okay, so the quality is diminished. Let's go back to the position here, the second inversion. Okay, so diminished 6-4, because 6-4, it's our inversion. Let's see if that's correct. Diminished 6-4. Okay, let's do another one. G, B, E. Okay, that sounds minor to me, but let's prove it. It's a 6-3, right? We have a third, and then we have a 6 on top of the bass note, or the lowest sounding note, the G. Okay, let's invert this back in root position. We bring the E down an octave. Okay, and now we have E, G, B. E to G is minor, G to B is major. That's the recipe for a minor triad. Okay, so we have a minor triad. The quality is minor, and the inversion is 6-3, or the first inversion. Let's see if that's correct. Okay, minor 6-3. Let's do a couple more. E, G sharp, C. Oh, that immediately sounds like an augmented triad to me. All right, very dissonant sounding, but let's prove it. Well, first of all, we have the E, G sharp. That's a third, and E, C is a 6. So again, we have a triad in first inversion, 6-3. All right, let's bring it down to root position. Bring the C down an octave. We end up with C, E, G sharp. Okay, now the 2/3 are stacked on top of each other, and we have C to E major, E to G sharp major. 2 major thirds on top of each other result in a augmented triad. Okay, so the quality is augmented. The inversion is 6-3, or first inversion. Let's see if that's true. There we go, augmented 6-3. Let's do one more. E flat, A flat, C flat. Okay, that sounds minor to me. Okay, well, let's prove it. Well, first of all, the intervals are a fourth, E flat to A flat, and E flat to C flat is 6, 4, and 6. So 6-4, that means the second inversion of the triad. And if I were to further invert this, I'm going to bring the bottom note again up to the top. E flat, C flat, E flat, A flat, C flat, E flat. Okay, I end up with the root position again. Let's look at the thirds. A flat to C flat minor, C flat to E flat major. All right, that's the recipe for the minor triad. So we have quality minor, inversion 6/4, or the second inversion. Let's see if that's true. Minor 6/4. And one more. How about this? All right, that sounds major to me. Okay, again, the intervals are a fourth and a sixth. Okay, they're the same notes as the previous one, you can see. The intervals are going to be the same, but the quality is going to be different, right? Let's further invert this one more time. Let's bring the E flat up an octave, and let's see what we have right now. We have E flat, I'm sorry, this is what should have been, E flat, A natural, and C. Okay, let's invert it. We end up with A, C, E flat in root position. Okay, A to C minor, C to E flat minor. So this is a diminished triad. Okay, and the inversion is 6/4. So it's a diminished 6/4. There we go, diminished 6/4. Okay, so that's about it for identifying triads. Okay, let's quickly recapitulate what you need to do here for the homework. First of all, you need to find the inversion. That's given to you by the figures underneath, either 5/3 for the root position, 6/3 for the first inversion, and 6/4 for the second inversion. Okay, and you do that by counting intervals up from the bass note, the lowest sounding note. Okay, and then you arrange the notes in thirds. Okay, so you can look at the quality. Once you have the notes in the triad in thirds, okay, then you can look at the thirds that compose the triad, and you can tell what the quality is. Okay, all right, now we're going to do something a little bit more involved. We're going to build triads. Okay, I'm usually giving you the beginning note. If there's no arrow after the figures, that means that you're supposed to construct everything up from the given note. Okay, but at the end we'll have some down triads. We'll construct them on the way down as well. So all these without the arrows are going up. So we're supposed to create a major triad in 6/4 inversion starting on pitch E. Well, here are the steps. Number one, we need to find out what the notes are, okay? And the notes are given to us by the figures, right? The 6 and 4. I'm going to the piano and I'm playing my E, okay? I'm supposed to have a fourth up from E, which is A, and also a 6 up from E, which is C. So the three notes I'm dealing with here are E, A, and C. Not necessarily exactly those, but some kind of A and C. Remember, you cannot change the E. The E is given to you, okay? So that's, you can't touch that basically, okay? But you can modify the A and the C to give you the right quality there of major. If I leave them like this, E, A, and C, that's not a major triad. You can hear it already that it's a minor quality triad, okay? Well, first of all, let's arrange them in root position. Okay, a 6/4 is a second inversion. So if I take my E up an octave, I end up with an A-C-E triad. This is the triad in root position. Okay, and now I can do my modifications. Remember one thing, you cannot change the E. The E was given to you. So we're going to lock that E in place on top. Okay. For a major triad, we need a major third on the bottom and a minor third on top. So since we have to work backwards now from the E is on top, right? I'm going to go to a C sharp. E to C sharp is my minor third on the top. Okay, and my A stays where it is because that gives me a major third on the bottom. Okay, so all I have to do in here, remember my notes were A, C, E. But I can't leave it a C natural. I have to bump it to a C sharp because that gives me the quality of major. So this is what I should have, an A, an E, A, and C sharp on the top, okay? It's gonna become a little more clear as we do a few of them right now. So let me go in here, there we go. E, I cannot change, right? That has to stay. Move to an A and a C sharp. and that gives me a major 6/4 triad. Okay? Good. Let's do one more. A minor triad. Now, notice that there are no figures under this. That means root position, or 5/3. This is how things get taken for granted in here. So if you see anything like this with no figures, assume that it's in root position, 5/3. Okay? So now we have pitch F sharp. Okay? And 5/3 means that I have to have a third on top of it, and a 6. But if I just leave F sharp AC, that's not a minor triad. Listen to it. That's my diminished triad. So what do I have to do? Well, I need a minor on the bottom and major on top. I have the minor, F sharp to A, but now I have to bump the C to a C sharp to have a major third on top. Okay? So my answer here is F sharp, A, C sharp. Triad in root position, quality minor. Let's see if that's what it is. Here we go. F sharp, A, C sharp. Okay, my minor triad in root position. Let's do one more. Diminished, starting on D flat. Again, there's no figures. Assume 5/3, root position. Okay, notes D flat, F, and some kind of A. Okay, and let's see if we have to modify these notes. We cannot touch the D flat. Okay, what do we have in the diminished? 2 minor thirds on top of each other. D flat to F is major. We have to bring it down to minor. That means F flat. Okay, so D flat to F flat. What's another minor third on top, starting on pitch F flat? F flat. Wow, we need to use a double flat here. D flat, F flat, A double flat give you 2 thirds, 2 minor thirds on top of each other. Okay, if you guys need to really remember thirds, go back to my videos when I talk about the thirds. Okay, this is very important right now for you to be able to identify and to create and build thirds on any pitch. You can see where they come in so important. D flat, F flat, A double flat should be the answer here. Diminished triad starting on D flat in root position. Here we go. D flat, F flat, A double flat. Okay, this was a difficult one. Let's move another one. Okay, a minor 6/3, so a minor triad in 6/3 inversion, first inversion, starting on pitch F. Okay, let's put quickly the notes. I need a third on top of this F, which is A, and a D, which is the 6, right? So here we go. F, A, D. That sounds almost right already, right? Because that sounds minor to me. Well, let's prove it, okay? So since this is in first inversion, I can take the D up on top and move it down an octave, and I end up with the triad in root position. So the notes are D, F, and A, all right? And now let's look at the thirds. D to F minor, F to A major. That's exactly what I need. I don't need to make any modification in here. So my notes stay F, A, and D for a minor in first inversion. And here you go. Some of these are easy, so don't think that because you have to do these exercises, all of them are going to be difficult. Some of them are quite easy, and this is one of them. All right, let's do one more. Augmented, starting on pitch G. Again, assume 5/3 because there's no figures here. And you need to have 2 major thirds on top of each other. So G to B is my third, and that happens to be major. That's good. G to D is my 5th, but that's okay, B to D, if I go from the middle note to the top, that's a minor third. So I need to bump my D to a D sharp to have 2 major thirds on top of each other. So the answer here is G, B, D sharp. Okay, and you can see now how we arrived at that dissonant triad. Okay, let's see if that's correct. Here we go. G, B, D sharp for the augmented triad. All right, now we're coming to another one that has the arrow going down. Okay? There's an extra step in here that you need to perform to resolve these kind of triads. Okay, this is supposed to be a minor triad in 6/3 inversion or first inversion, but I'm giving you the top note now. You can see that because the arrow is pointing down. All right? All you have to do in here, go to the top note, which is E flat, and move down a 6. Take the high interval or the big interval down first. So E flat to some kind of G, okay, is going to G. So G is your low note right now. And then from the low note, you go up a third. Okay, so basically our notes here are G, some kind of G, some kind of B, and our E flat. Remember, we cannot change the E flat right now. The E flat is given to us. Okay, all right, so some kind of G, some kind of B, and E flat definitely. What do we do right now? Since this is a first inversion triad, let's bring that E flat down an octave. Okay, and I kept my E flat and the natural G and B, but you can see that's not minor. Okay, that's an augmented triad. So I have to adjust the G and the B to arrive at the minor triad, keeping the E flat in the bass right now, because that's my root. Okay, so E flat to G is major, but if I bring it down to G flat, that is a minor. So G needs to be flat. And now a major triad up, a major third on top of G flat would be B flat. Okay, oh, sounds minor right now. So my notes are, okay, if I put it back into first inversion, G flat, B flat, and E flat. Okay, so let's see if that's correct. Here we go, G flat, B flat, E flat. Remember, look at the fact that that arrow disappeared now. Why? It's irrelevant anymore. Okay? We always look at the triads going from the top up. It's just the way we constructed it. We constructed it by having the top note given to us. But now that I look at it, I don't need the arrow anymore. I'm looking at the triad as it should be, you know, from the bottom up, and I have it in 6/3 inversion, or the first inversion. Okay, good. One more, and we're done with exercises. Augmented 6/3 also down. Okay, so B flat is the given note, the top note. Let's go down the 6 right now to some kind of D. Okay, and up the third. Okay, so this doesn't sound augmented to me. Remember, I just play D and F naturals. All right, now let's bring this triad into root position. I'm going to take the B flat down an octave, and this is what I have. B flat, D, F. Okay, that's not what I need. I need an augmented triad. Right now I have a major triad. Why? Because B flat to D is major and D to F is minor. Okay, so that's pretty simple. I'm going to leave the D where it is because I need it, but I'm going to bump the F to an F sharp. Okay, now it sounds like an augmented triad, right? That the dissonant one. B flat, D, F sharp. So when I go back to my position here, I should have a D, an F sharp, and a B flat. B flat I cannot change. Remember, that's the note that you need to anchor in. Okay, let's see if that's correct. Here we go. D, F sharp, and B flat. And the arrow disappeared because it's irrelevant at this point. I always look at the triad normally from the top, from the bottom to the top. So it doesn't matter how I arrived at it. You know, if I came down from the top note or down up, as long as I end up with the correct pitches, that's all I need. Okay, very good. These kind of exercises are going to be in your homework. So here we go. I summarized in here the steps that you need to do to build the triads. Okay, for the ascending going triads, those going up. Okay, here are the steps. Number 1, build the triad according to the figures given, meaning the numbers underneath. Okay, so you basically find the notes and you pencil in the notes. Don't lock them in quite yet because you're probably going to have to adjust them, okay? But the notes are important. Pencil them in because those are going to be the notes you're going to be dealing with. Number 2, I arrange the triad in thirds, root position, okay? Put it in root position, either in your mind. You can do it in your mind if you have some experience with this, or you can work it on paper somewhere, okay? But your triad has to be brought into root position. Do this in your mind first. Keep in mind that the given note that you cannot change, okay? The given note you cannot change, so lock that one in. Now, adjust the root position triad around that note, okay, to give you the proper quality, meaning major, minor, diminished, or augmented, okay? And adjust them with accidentals, okay? And number 5, copy those accidentals that you arrived to in the proper position that you have to construct, okay? So these are the 5 steps. Really keep them in mind. And here are the steps for the descending one. There's an extra step in here that you have to be. Number 1, build the largest interval by going down, okay, from the given note. So if you have to build the triad down, you are given the top note. Build the largest interval down first, and then the other one up from the lowest note that you just found, okay? At that point, the arrow becomes irrelevant, okay? Because now you have the proper figures in there the way they're supposed to be, from the bottom up, okay? And the other steps are just like the other one. Arrange your triad into root position, either in your mind or on work paper. Adjust the interval for the right quality, but keep in mind to lock that given note in place. You cannot change it. And then copy the accidentals that you arrived at into your exercise, into your given position. And you're done. It sounds a little bit easier than it is. So make sure that you do the homework. And these are very important things. Okay, it's a little technical. Today was a little technical. But if you keep doing it, you're gonna understand what's going on. Great. This concludes the theory part of today. Next time we're going to talk about scoring a triad into 4 parts: soprano, alto, tenor, bass, okay, or bass, tenor, alto, soprano, okay. But we call it SATB usually: soprano, alto, tenor, bass. Maybe because the sopranos are kind of important because they usually carry the melodies. Okay, the bass is the next important voice because it gives us the underlying harmonies, right? Everything gets based on the bass note, and all the other voices, the tenor and the alto, are fill-in voices that fill in the harmonies, make it pretty. Okay, that's why we call it SATB. Great, that's next time. Let's look at the starter book exercise right now, and I promised you that I was going to perform both number 27 and 28. Number 27 and 28 feature triplets. Okay, we're in chapter 3 right now, and we're just learning how to perform triplets. Triplets are funny because you have to divide your beat, okay, into 3 equal parts. And what's important here is the word equal. Okay, it's very important for you to put your metronome on if you want to practice this. Put your metronome on, and I'm putting it down to 80 this time. And try to, okay, divide your beat into 3 equal parts. Okay, as opposed to 2 equal parts which go right? Now, try to go back and forth between 2 and 3. You'll notice it's not so easy. You have to have a lot of discipline and a lot of practice. So, Always anticipate where your beat is going to be. Okay? So practice triplets and then regular eighth notes and then try to combine them. This is like a prerequisite exercise for performing number 27 and 28. All right, so my metronome right now, it's at 80. I'm bringing it to 80 because these go quite quickly, okay? One other thing to notice is that you can combine elements of the triad into one. For example, you can take two of the eighth notes in the triad and combine them into a quarter note, okay? So you have to hold the quarter note, you know, for two of the eighth notes in the triplet. Okay, so it would sound like something like this: da 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 da. In the back, you think da 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 da. That's that swing style. Okay, so and you can reverse it too. Da 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 da. That's when you have an eighth note followed by a quarter note. All these part of a group called a triplet, and that's notated with a bracket on top. That's why you see the brackets with the three on top. Okay, great. So metronome is at 80 right now. Let me try to perform the number 27 first. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. All right. Not too bad, but not too easy either, right? What gets you here, it's this formula on the last line and the second and third bars. Da 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 da. Okay, you basically have to think 2 2 2, 1 2 1 2 1 2. Okay, while everything else goes into 1 2 3 1 2 3 da 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 da. Okay, that's called a hemiola. When we have two beats going, 1 2 1 2, but we have against that we have a formula of 3 da 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 da. So a little bit faster. Okay, we'll learn a little bit more about the hemiola a little bit later when we talk about polyrhythms. We have two rhythms going against each other. Okay, very good. So that was number 27. Let's do number 28. Number 28 that's written in 6/8. So because it's written in 6/8, there's absolutely no need of the 3 on top of the beams, because 6/8 divides the beat into 6 equal parts anyway. Okay, but it's performed very, very similarly. All right, so let me put the metronome on again, and this is for the number 28. Here we go. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Okay, again, that same hemiola happening here in the last line, bar 3 and 4. Okay, you just have to keep counting 1 2 1 2 1 2, and every 2 change it, regardless of the fact that you're thinking 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. Very steady on that. Okay, practice these very slowly. Put the metronome down to 60, 70, or even lower if you have to. And really, in the back of your mind, think very steady eighth notes. I'm talking about the number 28. Okay, in the number 27, you have to subdivide each beat into equal 3 parts. Okay, these two are very similar in a way. Okay, basically, if you have a piece of music that always subdivides into 3, it makes sense to write it in 6/8 rather than 2/4, because otherwise you'll have to notate with triplets and put 3s all over the place, or brackets and so on. So Mr. Starr trying to make a point in here. See how easy it is to notate it in 6/8 in comparison to number 27, which is in 2/4. Same kind of feel, but one of them notates it with triplets and brackets all over and all that. And here on the bottom, we have it in 6/8, and it's so much easier. You don't have to use those. All right? Excellent. Very good. By the way, for next time, in here, move on to number 29 and 30. Okay? Number 29 and 30, both of them keep talking about triplets. All right, very good. And finally, the solfege number 26. Let's take a very quick look at number 26. Number 26, it's written in 3/4, easy there, but it's written in the key of B minor, okay? Key of B minor, and why B minor? Because it has 2 sharps in the key signature, and it's the relative minor of D major, all right? Minor third down. D major and B minor are relative keys. And how do I know it's B minor again? Also look at the content of this. You can see the use of A sharp a lot. A sharp is the leading tone in B minor. Okay? The 2 forms of the minor that make use of the leading tone is the harmonic and the melodic minor. All right? So this one will go back and forth in here. You can also see some A naturals in there too. All right? Remember, the melodic version on the way down features A natural. So that's why in a descending line, it's very likely for you to see an A natural instead of an A sharp. Okay? Very good. And there's some other accidentals in there. This is quite tonal. Okay? It's not too difficult to sing, and but it features a lot of triplet and triplet figures, right? Because in the star we just learned about triplets, so let's keep with the triplet theme here. All right, so I'm going to put my metronome back at 80. I'll do it a little slower today. So 80. This is the triad built on the tonic chord in B minor. B, D, F sharp. Now you know triads. C. Okay, and metronome on at 80. And let's see. Si, re, fa, si, la, sol, fa, re, do, si, la, sol, fa, mi, re, mi, fa, la, sol, mi, fa, re, do, si, la, sol, mi, la, fa, re, mi, la, sol, fa, mi, re, do, re, mi, fa. Si, re, fa, si, la, sol, fa, re, do, si, la, do, si, sol, fa, re, mi, do, re, mi, fa, sol, fa, la, si, fa, mi, fa, si, la, sol, fa, si. Excellent. Not too bad, right? This is quite tonal. I didn't feel at any point that I'm leaving B minor. All right, so this one doesn't travel outside of B minor that much. And I wrote it specifically that way because you have to take care of those triplets. So triplets are going to keep you focused on here. Didn't want the pitches to distract you too much from going back and forth. You can see on the last line here, you have to go back and forth between triplets and straight eighth notes. Not easy. Da, 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 da. Okay, excellent. 2 more solfeggios for next time, number 27 and 28. Make sure that you request them from the classical music theory guy at gmail.com. Excellent. In my next video, we're going to talk about scoring triads into 4 parts. And we're going to talk about the voice ranges. Very important topic. And this is where you start building harmonic progressions and so. Okay, we're not going to build anything next time. We're going to just score them. But then we're going to start building very simple harmonic progressions, going from the chord of the 1 to the chord of the 5, all in 4 parts. So be here for next time. Until then, I want you guys to stay healthy and safe and be good.